We're going to move on to Podluck. So Taylor, you'll have to bear with us while we discuss Samaritan. First things first.
See Samaritan.
Mary,
I would actually recommend it.
Perhaps I'll check it out. But I don't. If you guys have like spoilers or anything, it's okay. Like,
yep. Oh yeah, you're getting spoilers. I don't know how to do a non-spoiler review.
You're gonna get spoilers.
I do like Sylvester Stallone though.
Yes. Okay. First of all, first things first. Sylvester Stallone looks fantastic for like 76 years old. Trying to look like that when I'm 76.
He's 76.
He was born in 46, so he's like 74. So he's in his mid-70s.
I'll just say he looks good, but I definitely found those scenes where he was exhausted and dying believable. Quite believable.
So let's tell people what this is. So Samaritan.
So did they have to make him up to make him look good, or make him
Maybe
down
he just
to make him look dying?
was exhausted.
So it says this is a movie about basically it's in a town where
Granite City.
Granite City, which is a great like.
Is it like modeled after any specific?
I mean, it's kind of Gotham-esque in its production, but it's like the movie itself like takes superhero tropes and takes the concept of superheroes. It very much felt a little bit like Unbreakable.
Yeah, it was filmed in Atlanta.
So it says a young boy learns that a superhero who was thought to have gone missing after an epic battle 20 years ago may still in fact be around. So in this movie, Sylvester Stallone plays Joe. That's his name, Joe. Yeah. Is it Havan? I don't know how to pronounce that name. Walton plays Sam Cleary. So Joe and Sam are the two main characters in the show, but the kid really does kind of carry a lot of this movie by being really, really likable.
He at least carries the first part to get you hooked in to the story.
Really optimistic. And there's just a lack of pretentiousness about this movie that really, really rang true to me.
And I loved that even though he's a kid, they didn't do the typical thing they do with child characters, where he's like awkwardly too precocious for his own good and is like really annoying and young Sheldon-ish.
Yeah. By the way, nobody has suffered more from the internet than actually precocious children, because anytime you
no one is ever going to believe that now.
No, anytime you read something, it's like, oh my God, my daughter came in my room and said this really, really funny thing. Like, no, she didn't. You're lying. You're a clout chaser. Shut up.
Yeah. But what if she actually did?
I'm not familiar with the kid. Is this like a breakout role for him, or
I haven't seen him in anything else?
So the other thing,
good on him if that's his first movie with Sylvester Stallone.
There's absolutely social messaging in this movie, mainly around the concept of wealth. It's not even wealth inequality. It's just on the topic of poverty, meaning that
he was in Euphoria.
Yeah. So this is a show where poverty in the city is very clearly a theme, right? It's a city that's gone to crap, but there isn't really wealth inequality. They're not like talking about the rich people are up here and the poor people are down here. It's just that everyone is suffering, right? And I would say the action is mid to low. It was very clearly a victim of a smaller budget, which is fine. It has the one big scene between Nemesis and Samaritan in that they kind of recut to, that they keep coming back to.
What did you find lacking about the action scene?
They used the same trope over and over where you hit somebody and then they wire flip them.
Oh, yeah.
That was like repeatedly done, which they didn't need to do.
I don't know. Like, it's charming.
The movie is extremely diverse, as Hollywood loves that concept. If you want a very good class on how to actually do it, this is how you do it. It's never called attention to. It didn't feel forced. The kid in the show and his mom have a very believable relationship. She's a nurse. There's a little bit there was a thing with her and her like landlord that was kind of like, landlords are bad, see, because he put
I don't think it was like that.
But it wasn't done super heavy-handed.
Because that's just, you're introducing their characters and you're like setting the scene that they're lower middle class.
So the bad guy in this movie, which is a character named Cyrus, and his cohort Syl, I couldn't tell if they were together or not. I couldn't
either, but then she said her backstory was that
he found her when she was 8.
He found her when she was 8?
Yeah, so that's...
Or 18?
That's 8.
Okay, if she found her when she was 8, then I hope that they were not dating.
Mega groomer, then.
Please, but they look like they're the same age. Yes. I'm sorry, that's weird.
The one thing that this movie struggles with is that it could have really benefited from a more charismatic performance from the bad guy.
Totally.
They gave him.
You don't understand why he has so many followers, and then also when he, puts on the mask and does the Bane
speech,
thing,
it comes literally out of nowhere. And
it comes out of nowhere. Not just that, but also like he tries to start a revolution.
It's really
he just kind of kicks it off, and then all of these people run over, and they're like, "Yeah,
sure,
let's
why not?
Throwing bricks at cars."
Yeah.
And that goes on for like seemingly a week or something.
Yeah.
And it's just nonstop chaos, and he just kind of had to kick it off, and then he walked out of the scene. Like, it makes very little sense.
The funny thing is, you mentioned that it's supposed to be like a Bane scene. They gave him like the same coat that Bane wore in The Dark Knight Rises.
What do you mean, like the same exact?
No, it's close. It very much is supposed to look like the one that Bane wore in The Dark Knight Rises. I'm assuming so. Why else would you choose that coat?
I mean, if you make the same overture to like Rocky, where he's like teaching the kid how to fight.
Yeah. So, and they gave him
they don't care about being ham-fisted.
They gave him the cool bad guy haircut. They gave him the cool bad guy speech, but the actor,
pointy beard,
but the actor just didn't quite have the gravitas to pull that off, and especially not like Stallone.
Do you recognize him from anything?
He wasn't anybody that I had seen in anything recently.
Okay. I think he was in like Game of Thrones.
He was in Ghost in the Shell.
Also, the kid who played Sam was in Euphoria, and he was in Umbrella Academy.
So he's an established actor now.
Yeah, this isn't like his breakout role, but this is the first time I've seen it.
Also, whoever the actor was that played Reza, the guy who looks like Tekashi 6ix9ine and keeps getting his ass kicked, is my favorite.
He was good.
He was hilarious. He looks like a dude who would get his ass beat if he was in a group of people like this, because he would never shut up.
The scene where he hit Sam in the head with a wrench, I found kind of shocking, because after that, Sam seemed to be like A-okay.
Not dead.
Like, not dead, not even bleeding either.
I would actually argue that the guy that's part of the lead bad guy, Cyrus, has like his gang of misfits. So he's supposed to be like this underground, like the Shredder in the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, who like lures in all of these misspent, these bad youths, right? And then he uses them for his cause. Like he literally, there's a really cringy scene where he's like teaching the kid to whistle.
And then the cops come, and he like has some crooked deal with the cops. He gives the cops
some money that's never re-explored.
Yeah, like cool.
Said, guys, when I say that this movie is worth your time, I'm saying that it's a fun movie. Yeah. It's not like at this point.
It doesn't make a lot of sense at points, and it doesn't have the best performances.
I think Stallone I think Stallone's performance is what puts this movie over the top.
The guy who played Cyrus wasn't charismatic enough as a villain, you're right, and I think they could have written it better, where he has a backstory that makes sense as to why he the story of Nemesis resonated with him so much, because that's just kind of left open-ended, and then you don't understand why he's so evil.
And listen, and it never, like the revolution literally comes out of nowhere. Like
there are just like random people loitering in the area who are like, let's like fuck shit up. Like, I don't know, like what.
They've just been waiting.
I couldn't have said that in another way other than cursing.
And then,
but like it definitely was like it made no sense. And another thing is, like, they needed to write him in a way that you understand why he has followers.
Yeah.
And also the character of Syl should have been maybe younger and more impressionable seeming.
I said to you, it felt like they tried to cast Ruby Rose and she was just busy, so they casted this actress who just it didn't feel like it was written for this actress. It felt like it was written for someone else. There's a kind of there's a really good sense of like stoic masculinity about Stallone's character that maybe that's what I feel is missing from a lot of cinema nowadays.
It's something about the fact that he didn't explain himself. Like, he didn't have to go and defend everything he ever did. Yeah. Like, by the end of the movie, he did something evil. Yeah. That he was very evil. He's the bad guy, and he didn't need to like sit and explain and apologize and like agonize over it. Yeah. Like, his development as a person spoke for itself, and the plot twist is genuinely unexpected.
I didn't. For once, I did not. It didn't come. I was wondering like why they keep referencing why Nemesis was such an important part of the movie without actually being in it at all. So I guess
because I was expecting like, is Nemesis going to show up at some point and then betray Cyrus? Yeah. Like, what's going to happen?
The other funny thing about it was there was a scene where they break into the police station to steal the hammer.
Yeah.
When you talk over the top, they're talking
because evidence is definitely stored like that, right?
But the funny thing is, like, when this movie's starting, they said he forged the hammer with his hatred of his brother. That's great. I love that type of ridiculous, over the top. It's not the real world. It's not supposed to be the real world.
The intro was very like comic book.
But then when they knock over the police station, the guy's acting like all over the top and comical in a way that I never really saw from him again in the movie. Mm-hmm. Like, he wasn't that same level of over the top and weird during the rest of the movie than he was when they were like breaking into the police station.
Cyrus had some like facial expressions that were very unexpected.
Syl did too in that one.
Where she like bit in the air in front of Sam's face. Just weird things that happened like that weren't consistently
part of
drawn out of them.
Yeah, like her interactions with Sam were weird.
Yeah.
like
was
really
she trying
weird.
to like convince him of something? Yeah. I don't understand her character or the significance of her dying either.
Like, I almost think they didn't need her character and maybe introduce her in the sequel. Like, the other guy, the guy who played Farshad, that guy was great too. The taller guy who was like his number 2 besides her. He's the one driving the getaway van.
Oh, yeah.
Like that guy was good too. And then there was the bookstore guy who was supposed to be played by Martin Starr, Albert Kassler, the guy who's like, he's been searching for Samaritan.
There are a lot of unexplored characters and stories in this, and I think that might be setting up for sequel.
It felt like it was trying to be in production it felt like it had the same struggles that John Wick had in its first movie, which John Wick overcame better, meaning smaller budget. John Wick only has 1 or 2 major action scenes in that whole first movie.
Wow.
And they put most of the budget into those. But because Chad Stahelski and the other people involved in that movie were stunt directors before they were regular directors, it comes out that they did a lot more with a lot less than they did in this movie. Mm-hmm. And this relied a lot more heavily on CGI because of the comic book element to it. But it would be interesting to see a sequel to this. I would be okay with seeing a sequel to this.
Maybe, yeah.
Like, I don't know where you go for the sequel, but I would also be 110% okay if they just left it alone. But I would like to see something like this do well so that we can get more original properties. Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.